Welcome everyone to Spoiler Warning featuring myself, Tom Colohue, and our focus today is very much on draft news. There is quite a lot of draft news to cover, so we will be diving deep into it. It's kind of difficult to share headlines. At the same time, usually I'll bombard you with headlines about different people, but there really is quite a range of different pieces of news, all related to the draft and all related to a multitude of people. Triple H, Drew McIntyre, Gunter, Alexa Bliss, Liv Morgan, Ronda Rousey, and so many more. So I'll just be diving into it as we go, answering questions as we go. You guys know how we generally work. So I want to say a big thanks to everyone who's already joined us. I see Daniela, I see Venom, I see Khalid. Snare, thank you very much for subscribing. Mark says evening. Carl says evening as well. Hello, guys. LFUK says evening, Tom. Any idea on what this huge announcement by Triple H could be tonight on Raw? That would be a spoiler, and to be honest, when it comes to Raw, I don't know immediately. At this point, I can say I have not actually read up on the spoilers, so I'm not so sure. Also, it's nice to be surprised every now and then. Ross says, evening all. Welcome, Ross. Carl saying, good day, Tom. Hope all is well. All is well, thank you very much, and hope so with you. Jordan Darlow says, evening all. Hello, Jordan. Joey says, hey, Tom, were you able to find out why Seth was randomly put in a match with Omos? The only bit of news I've got on that, and I've got to say, it's not going to be very satisfying. I promise you it's not going to be very satisfying. Is that apparently we're going to find out after the draft. Apparently it's going to make sense after the draft. I only got the one source on that one. And it seemed a bit cynical of a response. But when I asked about Seth versus Omos, all I was told was, you'll find out and it'll all make sense after the draft. Yeah. Leon says, hi Tom, hope you're doing well. Doing very well, thank you Leon, I hope you are as well. Hello Khalid. Daz says, big up Tom, hope you're well tonight. Doing very well, thank you Daz, welcome to the show. Ed says, hi. Hello Ed. Adam says, how long term do you see Triple H as head of creative? He has the job and he hasn't been fired, so as long term as he can be. KJ says, what's up Tom, thanks for the Mercedes talk. No worries KJ, when it comes to Mercedes, I have a pretty damn good record, and anything that involves me taking advantage of that I'm probably going to end up doing. No Venom, I will not be doing a Raw watch along. Spider-Boss is here, says thank you for the Mercedes news. My draft predictions are Theory to SmackDown and Gunter to Raw, which is matching with mine as well. Ricky says hello Ricky. Spider-Boss says, it annoys me seeing wrestling media outlets coming up with Mercedes money news that we already saw on Spoiler Warning. By all means, get the word out there. If you can help spread the word that this particular piece of news is easily findable somewhere else for free, people might be convinced to pop over and check out what we're doing over here. So if it annoys you, by all means, spread the word. I would very much appreciate it. That's what's next for Bailey. I have nothing on Bailey tonight. Sean says, hello, Tom. Hello, Sean. Callie says, hi Tom, hope you're well, doing very well, thank you Callie. Zane says, will Triple M, the maximum male models, be split up in the draft? It doesn't seem so at this point in time. They are still trying to make a storyline work for them, but ultimately the only storylines they seem to be coming out with involve other people anyway. Number of the Devil, welcome to the show, says, what's going on with Bray Wyatt? Bray Wyatt is not listed internally for the WWE Draft. There are no current creative storylines featuring Bray Wyatt that is lined up. What I will say beyond that is that at current, if Bray Wyatt is listed, because they did say everyone is eligible, we are unlikely to be seeing more of him in the near future. I don't think we're going to be seeing more from Bray Wyatt anytime soon. Stuart Ridley says, evening Tom. Hello Stuart. KJ says, maybe Omos squashes Seth and Seth goes to SmackDown. Maybe. Venom asks something very similar. Do you think Omos is going to squash Seth? I don't think so, personally, but Seth does have previous for that. Joey has a bad feeling Omos is going to be Roman's next challenger. Not going to happen, both heels. Razar says, hey Tom, love the Sasha update video. Now Fightful is confirming the Sasha news about how she's a free agent. I should send a thank you to Sean Ross Sapp. I should send him a thank you just for confirming my reporting. Sean says, Alexa's Fight Me Face of Evil remix was released today on the WWE Music YouTube channel. I hope that's a sign she's returning soon. Not a sign, no connection at all to that. After all, they released her Fury sound right before she went vanishing previous. And to be fair, I was listening to Fury earlier today. It's still quite a banger. Dennis Chapman, thank you kindly for subscribing on the YouTube side. We already have quite a few new subscribers, and I want to say a massive thank you to all of you. Please make sure to hit like as you join the chat as well. Richard says, hello Tom and all. Highly recommend Stardom, All-Star Queendom, Taman Agalia? I don't know that one. Spider-Boss says, I'm wondering how Seth could do Stomp on Omos. Omos would have to kneel down like everyone else does. Hector says, Tom, with everyone being available for the draft, does this also include Bray as well, or no, since he's hurt? He is not internally listed at this point in time. Alexa Bliss is also not internally listed at this point in time. However, Triple H has said, pardon me, that everyone is eligible. So I'd be very surprised if they're not at least drafted. I just don't see them being involved much beyond that until they have a storyline ready for them. Venom is not a fan of Omos. Cool. Marcel says, hi Tom. How are you? 6, I'm not going to chat with you, just listen. Fair enough, Marcel. Hope you start to feel better soon. I'm doing very well, thanks. Eric says, how are you? Hi, how are you, Tom? Doing very well, thank you, Eric. And yourself? Adam says, is there still a possibility if Vince takes over creative that he could possibly fire Bray Wyatt? Is there a possibility of a possibility of a possibility? I don't answer those questions, and you know that. Venom says, when will we see Johnny back? Has he got a bad injury? He hasn't got a bad injury, he's got a recurrent injury, though. He just doesn't seem able to shake it. Hogan says, I'm kind of loving the possibly ironic love that Omos has been getting lately. The smart, well-spoken, anime-loving giant being accidentally over would be great. I think if they let him actually be himself, that would work. Eric, we'll find out what happens with the draft. If it's interesting enough on Friday SmackDown, then I'll probably turn up on Raw, but I'm not committing to anything at this point in time. Carl says 65 watches and only 9 likes. It's free to hit that thumbs up button and help support. Since then, of course, he's reached 28 likes, so thank you everyone for taking that under advisement. Snare says, when do you think Alexa will return? At the moment, Bray Wyatt is still planning the situation out as regards Alexa Bliss and why they are going to be returning in the way that they are. How Uncle Howdy will play into it as well. So at the moment, it'd take a little while for him to finish writing, for Rob Fee to clarify, for Triple H to clarify that, and then for Vince McMahon to clarify that. There are too many cooks, and it's causing some issues. JJ says, hey Tom, do you know if Becky's on Raw or is she injured? To my knowledge, Becky will not be on this week's Raw. She's taking a brief break to spend some family time. This is in the build towards a limited date contract. She already does have some limited dates built into this contract, but is likely to increase them going forwards. Ken Thompson says, Impact Wrestling Rebellion pay-per-view will be better than Backlash. I will see about that. Actually, I won't. I haven't watched Impact for a while. Richard says, apart from Bron Breakker, do you see more talent from NXT to debut? Yes, I do. Dennis says, is there a reason why you say Bray won't be back anytime soon? I've spoken to people in creative, and from what they tell me, there just isn't a storyline prepared, and they're waiting on him to basically get himself into gear and get writing one. But after being changed to, his WrestleMania plans being changed to against Brock Lesnar when he didn't want that, to against Bobby Lashley when he didn't want that, there are some issues. And as I've reported previously, there are some creative differences peeking through. Razar says, is Bianca versus Io going to be added to Backlash? Found it weird they announced all those matches and Io won a contenders match to earn a title shot. Yes, I expect we will. No worries, Khalid. I try and read every comment I can, so by all means. Hector says, Tom, naturally, does this mean there's going to be an incoming huge important announcement by Tony Khan on Dynamite? It's going to be an announcement. I mean, that's typical him. To be fair, is that not what Triple H is doing as well? Pot kettle. Spider-Boss says, does Vince have the final decision if WWE want to bring back Mercedes money? Vince has the final decision on every major choice by the WWE. Just want to be clear on that one. Hello, Michael. How are you? Wiggly saying hi, Tom, as well. Welcome to you both. Daniela says, in the draft graphic that came up last Friday to promote draft, I recognise AJ Styles in the graphic next to Gallows and Anderson, so could they possibly be teasing a return? It is only an injury. It is not something that will put him out of action. AJ Styles will be returning once he is fully fit. Julia, got it. Venom says, do you think the Triple H announcement opens Raw? Yes, I do. After all, that is historically what Triple H has been doing, though he has been a draw segment in the past. In my experience, and based on what I'm hearing at the moment, Triple H has been actively used as a draw to try and bring ratings in and continue the momentum that they've been gaining going into the draft. We are looking at the draft, or at least the WWE are looking at the draft as a huge opportunity to gain potential new viewership, and using Triple H as a way to bring back older fans and assure them that they are going to be some recognisable faces as well. Hello, John Gillis. How are you doing? Joey says, Nick Aldis told Fightful in an interview that WWE had interest, then once a sale happened, they weren't hiring any new talent. Looks like this hiring freeze is real. As I've said, and I've clarified this one at some pretty extreme length, there is a financial analysis being undertaken by the company, Endeavour this is, at the moment, and that is hugely limiting what they're able to do, but the purse strings have been tightened way back in around November, December time, and that limited what Triple H was able to do and bring in. Hello, Anthony, how are you? Khalid says, I really hope Triple H adds Bray Wyatt to the draft. Hello, Noob, how are you? Daniel says, any idea what Tony Khan will announce this Wednesday Dynamite? I do not, but I'd imagine it'd be something for the UK personally. Wiggly says, good news on my end, was really unwell past couple of months, had some tests. There were some real fears, but I got good news today. It's not what the doctor's for, it's not the Big C. That's some good news, mate. Glad to hear it. Kieran says, Omos could easily be over with the Homo sapiens, in my opinion, if WWE worked that into his character. I agree. Absolutely agree. Anthony says, Tom, when Bron Breakker gets drafted and he debuts on the main roster, do you think he keeps his heel character that he has now on NXT, or he debuts as a babyface? He was going to be called up. His call-up was cancelled. It's happened several times, but the most recent call-up, which would have been the Raw after Mania, was cancelled because they were going to shift him into a heel, and they essentially, with the draft being pushed back, decided to wait until the draft when he could be called up as a heel. Bailey says, hello Tom, is there any coverage in the UK for this week's events? What do you mean by that one, Bailey? Can I get some clarification on what you're meaning? Rosar says, according to Wrestling News Co. and others, Naomi has dropped the trademark for the new name Trinity Star. What do you think this means? Did she reach a deal with WWE, or are we looking too deeply into this? I think we're looking too deeply into this. She can wrestle under the name Trinity if she wants. Her name is Trinity. Khalid says, Tom, does Bray Wyatt choose a storyline for Alexa Bliss and Uncle Howdy? He pitches a storyline. It's up to him to come up with something because they've been working in his direction for a while. Joey says, Worked reported there was a pitch for Big E to return and feud of Gunter for the IC title. I believe I've been speaking about Big E's return quite recently on this channel, and stuff that you may find very interesting. Hogan says, say what you will about Wyatt and Bliss as wrestling characters, but man, are their fans passionate. Very true. On producer Saudi Tom, what's your opinion on what women from NXT should be called up for the draft? I think Roxanne is the obvious choice, and she has been told previously she will be getting a call up relatively soon, so be ready. There's others who I feel just can't do anything more. Just can't do anything more in that region. So I'd be looking at Zoe Stark, for example, Alba Fire, just people who've done everything already. Noob says, is Asuka coming back on this week's Raw, or is she taking some time off? I don't know on that one. I have no news on Asuka, unfortunately. Yes, Venom, there's quite a bit of news that we'll be discussing. I've already actually shared some of it. I've got a big long list of information about the upcoming draft, some of which, the use of Triple H as a draw, for example, I've already mentioned, but there's plenty more to come. Wiggly says, can't Endeavour basically tell Vince to do one at any point in time? Yes, in much the same way that you can fire anyone that you want to. Michael says, Fightful selects big news on Mercedes is that she's a free agent soon. And people pay for that. People pay for that when right here you can get it free. Not only have I told you that she's going to be a free agent very, very soon, but also what her future plans are and what's on the table for her. Afternoon, Danny. Hello, Orlando. Daniela says, I hope Cody gets one over on Brock tonight. Daz says, Ray vs. Priest announced on WWE Twitter 1 hour ago for tonight. Mustafa says, I have nothing to add or ask, but comments help, so hey Tom, hello mate. That's absolutely true, and I thank you very much for that. You are more than welcome to lurk, but if you're able to say a quick hello, that also majorly helps the YouTube algorithm, gains us new viewers, new subscribers, etc, etc, and before you know it, we are growing at a massive pace. Right now, we are on 2,384 subscribers. One more to get us to 2,385, which I'd very much appreciate. In the meantime, we have 39 likes and 88 viewers, 40 likes and 88 viewers. Every like does help, so please remember to do so if you can. Thank you, Mustafa. Wrestler Fan says, will there be any draft picks that are returning wrestlers that were signed before but weren't used? The extension I would go to, for example, is Gable Steveson. If you say everyone is draftable, Gable Stevenson's got to be one of those in there. He is still under contract for the company, and ultimately the company are not happy with the return on their investment. He's been wasting time and making himself unavailable. So I'd be looking at Gable Steveson as an example, though Edge will also be mentioned, and it'll be a while before he comes back. Razar says, Raw sold out in Chicago tonight. On Twitter I made a comment about how Bad Bunny could have helped. Wrestling fans were jumping me about how no one cares about him, thought it was funny. Lots of people care. He's really good at his role. Hogan says, Ari, the draft, I'm not sure if you know, but the NFL draft usually starts this Thursday. Guessing that's why the WWE chose this weekend for the draft. It is. They're fully aware of the SEO. Venom says it'd be nice if he says one set of titles are being separated. If they keep making these triple segment big letdowns, it won't be a draw because everyone will just expect it to be crap. Okay. Joey says, why does Vince have a fetish for Omos? Has already been in the ring with the top guys and hasn't gotten any better. It's not just Vince. Triple H also wants him to be working. And also, I do feel the match with Brock wasn't bad. Kevin, how you doing, mate? Says, good evening, Tom. In recent history, the draft has helped elevate careers. Who would you like to see benefit from a new situation? Let's share a bit of news, because there's a few people who I've been told have been put into good positions to go up the card quickly in the upcoming draft. Gunter is someone who's been mentioned in that role. I've been told that he's going to be put in a position where he will rise to the top as quickly as he can and be ready before the end of the year to be at main event level. So I would want Gunter in that situation, and I believe he will be. Spiderboss says, I hope the booking of the women's division of WWE improves after the draft. Bit of news on that one. What I'm hearing as regards what areas are going to be focused on is quite different considering who's booking it. Vince McMahon wants to do some repairs to the women's division, particularly working on leveling out the Raw and Smackdown rosters and bringing up people who can essentially fit lower spots. Also, this could mean some development for characters like Shotzi, for example, but it's also one of the reasons Liv Morgan is getting the push that she's going to be getting. Triple H, however, wants to work on the tag division and help rebuild that one. That's his primary focus. What I will say is that at the moment, nobody seems very focused on the women's tag division. No Wiggly, you're not going to hear from Hogan ever again. Christian says, couldn't Bray, Alexa and other names that aren't announced in the draft be kept as a surprise? They could be, but when Triple H says everyone is eligible, it wouldn't be that much of a surprise. I'm still not sure what you're referring to there. Wiggly, when you say you're hearing rumours, you know the rules. I need a source. Michael says Naomi's friend mentioned that a Google search revealed Trinity Star is the name of a porn star. Ah, well, that's awkward. Venom says, will you be watching the NXT pay-per-view tomorrow, Tom? I will not, because I have a full-time job and a full-time job as a step-parent as well. So I will not really have that much time, and that's one of the reasons I don't really watch much NXT. I just don't have time. If I was doing this full-time, obviously I would. I've also been looking at some of the stats recently, and from what I can tell, based on the numbers that are being floated on, for example, Social Blade, I should be able to be full-time in about the next 3 years. It's a pretty good spot to be in. Eric says, do you think Vince will push Priest soon? Priest is actively being pushed as we speak. Triple H is pushing him. 23 Fresh says, do you believe the theory that Vincent, Kate and Dean McMahon is running AEW in secret? No. What is the point of that? What is the point? Hector says, I'm not the biggest on Omos, but the fact that he's had the match with Brock and Seth in the back-to-back PLEs definitely shows how high they are on him. Daniel says, any idea what AEW has planned for the new trademark Wrestle Dream? I do not. Ken says, Rhea Ripley versus Zelina Vega is a toilet break for me. Not for me. I'm very excited to see what they can do. Venom says, Alba Fire should be called up, but she holds the NXT tag title, so I don't see it. Bailey says, I was asking about the announced shows in Birmingham and Manchester. Oh, gotcha. Okay, gotcha. And yes, I do believe Bailey will be UK side. Sean says, do you believe the reports that Joe Gacy and Cora Jade are potential call-ups in the draft? Yes, because everyone is a potential call-up in the draft. It's not really a report when you're just saying what Triple H has already confirmed. Spiderboss says, could WWE split the world titles in the draft? Yep. Khalid says, Tom, I think Bad Bunny will get revenge on the Judgment Day tonight. Here's a fun one that they're still considering but haven't been able to confirm yet. Bad Bunny might be drafted. I just want to be clear on that one. There is talk that Bad Bunny could be drafted to either Raw or SmackDown. It wouldn't be to NXT, but to be clear, he could be drafted to either Raw or SmackDown. It'd be a situation whereby he's not going to wrestle many matches. He'll continue to work this schedule where he just makes sporadic appearances when he can. But it is more of one for the news networks, for wrestling media, and for general media to try and get more attention to the draft. They may make a point of drafting Bad Bunny to get that attention. Snare says, do you think Randy Orton returns anytime soon, as he could possibly challenge Roman for the titles? Now, Snare, I know you're brand new here. At the beginning of February, about February 8th, I posted a video on Randy Orton's return schedule with full details of where he is right now, the fact that he's not cleared, the fact that he wouldn't be cleared in time for WrestleMania. Weeks afterwards, there was all that talk about him appearing at WrestleMania, but I've reported exclusively, because no one's reported on it, when he's likely to be back, what he's likely to be doing in that time, how Matt Riddle plays into that. So Snare, once we've finished up here, by all means pop over to the channel main, click on the video section. I think it's like the 849th video there. There's a video on Randy Orton's return schedule you'll find very interesting. Chris, the draft does not start tonight. The draft starts on Friday. Joey says, Give me Sport reported that Pretty Deadly has been pitched to join Raw in the draft. Have you heard anything on this? Once again, everyone is eligible. Any report that says they're pitched, that they are potentials, is guesswork and is pointing fingers in the dark. And they make that clear by saying it's being pitched or it's a potential. They don't say this person's being called up. They don't say that. Good afternoon, Teflon Don. Calvin Houston says, have you heard any plans for Austin Theory this summer? Honestly, it sounds like Austin Theory might be taking a little bit of a back seat. I still suspect we're going to see Austin Theory and Gunter swap sides and move between Raw and SmackDown. But as regards Austin Theory, it sounds like they're going to cool off a little bit and just let him stay as the champion. That said, he is in a triple threat match, and if he is going to be losing the championship, I do suspect the draft will be the main reason. Welcome, Robs. How you doing, mate? Mark says, I have no questions, just enjoying the stream, and I get to drop tables. Drop tables, mate. You go right ahead. You drop those tables. Daniela said, does anyone have any idea how the draft will be conducted, e.g. Triple H on the ramp announcing draft picks for both brands? I do not, but the fact that, as I mentioned earlier, Triple H is being actively used as a draw with the hope of essentially growing the brand and getting mainstream attention tells me that he will feature heavily. Chris says, I've been hearing Seth Rollins versus Omos as a match idea being tossed around. Really, mate? Really? I haven't heard that. Spider-Boss says, I certainly don't like how WWE has booked the LWO against Judgment Day lately. They're on TV week in and week out, and yes, they're taking the losses. Pardon me. Yes, they're taking the pins, but ultimately they do benefit by association. Venom, yes, that has been announced for Backlash. Christian says, how fast would you say is the main roster call-up from NXT? I feel like some people have stayed there for only 1 year while others have stayed for a while. Depends on the person. It's very much depending on the person. Rosal says, give me sport. Keeps reporting how Triple H has big plans for so many call-ups. Are they reliable or just full of crap? Give me sport, I believe, are helmed by Louis Dangor, who reported after Drew McIntyre won the WWE Championship that Drew McIntyre was in for a big push. They also, to my knowledge, reported that Asuka, after Asuka won the Raw Women's Championship, was in for a big push. Yeah. Chris Kane says, I feel like Bron Breakker replaces the Gable-Stevenson hype, even though Gable is already drafted on Raw, technically. Interesting wiggly. Ken says, I want to see Tyler Bate called up. I do not. Venom says, when we see Tegan being used, we're not even seeing her in some random tag team. I suspect her name will be popping up during the draft. Ed says, hashtag full-time Tom. Thank you, Ed. It's the dream. It's the dream. Razar says, I really like the way NXT calls were done in 2016. It was so cool seeing their genuine reactions to the news. Will they do something like that this year? Possibly. I don't see it though. That was a superstar shakeup after all, and that was the brand new brand split, so they were giving it everything that they could. No, I have at no point, Venom, have I ever said we'll get NXT watch-alongs. In fact, I've repeatedly said that we will not have NXT watch-alongs. I've made that very clear. You need to start listening to the words I say, not the words you want to hear. Spider-Ball says, Rhea Ripley versus Zelina Vega seems so random. Zelina isn't a threat to Rhea's title reign. True. However, what I will point out is that it doesn't seem so random when you factor in the fact that Judgment Day is taking on the LWO, and they are the two women in those factions. Joey says, why aren't we getting Bronson Reed versus Bobby in a singles match? Because we will be doing again soon. I suspect this is a feud that's going to go the distance. Bronson Reed and Bobby Lashley possibly both in Money in the Bank as well, and it'll actually come to fruition in Saudi Arabia or at SummerSlam. Spider-Boss says, I think even Logan Paul could get drafted. Me too. Vegeta says, Bron didn't replace Gable. In my opinion, he was going to get hype regardless. Mark says that is a great idea for Bunny. Hopefully they add Pat McAfee as well, which is worth mentioning. Number of the Devil says, so does Brady even have an illness? There are some fitness concerns. There was, I believe, a foot injury. However, at this point in time, I'm not aware of anything beyond that. That said, he has got evidence of being immunocompromised in the past. So I think that's worth considering. It's all right, Calvin. You don't need to worry too much about it. I'll just skip it next time. I understand that obviously there's a lot of questions coming in. I'm trying to keep up, but I do appreciate your patience for it. Thank you, Mr. Stumble, for your congratulations. Appreciate that. Sean wants Ilya versus Gunter for Money in the Bank in the UK. Ross also asking about Logan Paul. It's a good idea, and I think they should definitely do it. Steve says, is Backlash this weekend or next weekend? It is, I believe, the weekend after next. Oh, no, I see what you're saying. It is next weekend. So it's not the weekend coming, it's the one after. Michael says, in your opinion, and not reporting for the Twitter trolls, do you think Mercedes could be signing somewhere in the near future, say month or 2 months? Yes, I do, personally. We do have quite a few offers on the table from a number of different sources. I've mentioned them in my previous video. For those who are interested in what happens next for Mercedes money, I did report that in a video that came out in the last few days, so I advise you to check that out. It is available on the channel now, so once we're wrapped up here, by all means check that out. I do think there are offers on the table, and I think she'll be signing in no time at all. Mr. Stumble says, any more news on CM Punk? Not from me, though I do know there is other news out there. Other people have reported more on CM Punk than I have, and they're doing a great job on that. Spadabell says, according to Lewis Dango, WWE views Cora Jade as the next Sasha Banks. That is funny. Yeah, it doesn't quite jibe with what we're seeing. Razar says, would it be okay for me to cite some of your reports on Twitter? Absolutely, mate. Anything that could help this channel grow, I'm going to support. Anything that helps get the word out, I'm going to support. I'm also not going to sit here and say, hey, if I get something wrong, don't report it. I'm never going to say that. If I get something wrong, by all means, still put the word out there, because we need to remember these things. And that does happen sometimes. I was saying in the conversations about Mercedes Money, that Mercedes Money herself made it quite clear that there was bad reporting out there. I stood by what I said and what I reported. Now we hear Fightful Select reporting the same thing, but, less. Stuart says, pretty deadly should be called up. Mike says, do you think separating the titles will lessen Cody's win whenever he wins? No, because it's more about Roman losing than whoever actually beats him. And Mike says, I've already read that one. Thank you very much, Horsey. He says, can't stay as going live myself now. Maybe we'll catch up. Also retweeted your tweet and big up you legend. Thank you kindly, sir. And I hope your stream goes fantastically well. I know you're doing great work over there, and I do think you're probably going to overtake me one of these days. Venom says, not good. The Theory is a champion in the match. He's the afterthought. I very much do think this is a lot to do with the draft, and the draft will be the answer for the questions there. Snare says, thanks, I'll check after the stream. I'm enjoying it so far. Thank you, Snare. I appreciate that. Positive feedback goes a long way, and anybody who has any, I absolutely love it when I get it, because it tells me that I'm doing things right, and I'm doing things in a way that's at least interesting to you guys watching at home. So thank you. We did get that one more subscriber. We are now at 2,385, only 15 subscribers away from 2,400. We are growing at one hell of a pace. Zane says, a YouTuber said Judgment Day will split up in the draft. Cool. They won't. Wrestler Fan says, what surprises do you see happening in the WWE Draft? I don't think we'll get many surprises. I think the call-ups will be the main surprises, and then mention of certain big names. Khalid says, Tom, do you wish WWE would bring back a general manager for Raw and Smackdown? No, I like what we do now. Adam says, why did Vince book Bray Wyatt versus Bobby Lashley? Because Brock Lesnar said no. Sean says, do you think Roxanne would need a new character in order to get over on the main roster? People may not understand what a prodigy is. I don't think she needs that big a change, personally. I think she will connect with people, and I'm excited to see her connect with people. I just think, same as anything, they need to get out of her way and let her grow. No, Wiggly Eye, I think you might escape this one. Mustafa says, actually, personally, I'm enjoying the faction wars. Would love for Balor as some ultimate demon form to take the undisputed title again. Would be lovely, but I don't personally see it, unfortunately. That said, the faction wars are doing great, and I like how Judgment Day and Bloodline connected. Wiggly says, do you think Bray might have to stand down if he can't really continue? He can continue. There's nothing stopping him from continuing. Leon says, any updates on if Eric Young will be drafted? Nope, I don't believe there's any plan to do that. Wiggly says, who are tipped to win Money in the Bank? I know a lot of people are saying LA Knight. I'm kind of thinking a Judgment Day winner, Damian Priest or Dominic. Razar says, I'm really not liking Rhea being a champion and taking a backseat in the Judgment Day. Feels like she's more involved in the men's division than the women's. She's treated kind of like a valet so far. That is true, and that is the case, and unfortunately it is just a little bit awkward at times. However, I do believe we're going to get there, and they're just essentially letting her calm down while they rebuild a division for her. Megan says, give me Ilya versus Gable. That's what I want. That'd be lovely. Welcome, Megan. Venom says, do you think we'll get Tegan and Dakota feud again, Tom? Nope, not for a while. Eric, I am fully aware that Omos is not the favourite for Money in the Bank. Peter Engelfield, welcome, says, don't forget to like this great channel or I will get the tables out. Great job as usual, Tom. Thank you kindly, Peter. Nice to see you, mate. RF says, where do you think Roman Reigns gets drafted to? And when he does get drafted, do you think there's a chance that the titles can split? I've been saying for a while, this is the perfect time to split the championships without having Roman lose. It'd be absolutely perfect. So I can see that happening. As regards Roman, I think he will stay on SmackDown. 23 Fresh says, can you be a nice person in the wrestling business? Absolutely. Absolutely. Look at Bryan Danielson. Spiderboss says, do you think WWE should do vignettes to introduce Roxanne Perez to the main roster? Yeah, because ultimately what they did with Johnny Gargano didn't work, and that's basically their plan. Yes, Jake Scudder has referenced me in a report. I see him reference me every now and then, and I appreciate that. Richard says, Mercedes money has been advertised for New Japan Resurgence May 21st. Yep. She's not a free agent yet. She does have a bit of wrapping up to do, but as I have reported previously, she's wrapping up her commitments in Japan. Hi Cam, how you doing? Cam says Bayley to SmackDown. Personally, I agree, and I think that's what we're going to see. Wiggly says, if you could ask Goldberg, Nash or Bryan Danielson a question each, what would you ask them? Why God, why Bret Hart? How's the knee? And is it as painful as it looks to get chopped by Minoru Suzuki? Daz, I'd imagine they're all good wrestlers, otherwise he wouldn't be sending it to me. Venom is excited for the idea of Zoe Stark versus Bianca. Joey says, is Gigi Dolan's name still being discussed for a call-up? Gigi Dolan's name has been discussed for a while. My report on Gigi Dolan was that when it came to the breakup of Toxic Attraction, she's going to be the Shawn Michaels. And Vince is a fan as well. Spider-Boss says, I think Edge needs to lose once before his retirement. Me too. Yep, I'm sure he'll lose plenty of times. I hope so, otherwise what's the point? Wiggly says, what's the actual payoff for Cody? Will he ever win the title? Yes, my suspicion is he'll win the championship at SummerSlam. Michael says, Fightful Select is also reporting the speculation on the announcement tonight by Triple H is a new title belt. Thank you for clarifying on that one, Michael. 23 Fresh actually asked immediately after that, is a new championship being introduced into the WWE? There are non-stop rumours and speculation, but I've not heard anything personally. Ross says, would love to return to Kaylee Ray instead of Alba Fire. Big fan and biased because she's Scottish, doing good work, helping Isla Dawn too. Vegeta says, Gunter wins Money in the Bank and holds the IC belt at the same time. That's how Miz was pushed in 2010. I'd be very happy with it. Regular says, can Endeavour have a say as to who gets inducted and perhaps removed from the WWE Hall of Fame? Yes. They won't, but yes. Joey, I'm going through all the draft news. I've been sharing plenty of it. There's still plenty more to come though. So let's jump into it a little bit and just talk about what I haven't already mentioned. Now, there is draft fatigue at the moment in the WWE, and what I mean by draft fatigue is that essentially building around a champion as top level as Roman Reigns is causing some issues. The WWE have been in discussions with USA and Fox, both of whom want Roman Reigns. So the WWE has caused themselves some harm in making Roman Reigns absolutely undeniably at the very top of the industry. USA and Fox are both sort of fighting it out to determine who gets the bigger names, and the issue of course that the WWE have is that they have TV rights deals upcoming and need to make sure both Fox and USA are happy. So there is an element of fatigue in the Roman Reigns effect, and this may result in championships, particularly the top ones, drifting across both brands. We may still see an open brand split rather than a firm locked one. There is also difficulty with a number of other wrestlers who aren't necessarily happy with the potential placement that they have and the fact that they have not been told where they're going. There is an element of difficulty right now in the booking of Drew McIntyre, for example. He does have a contract renewal coming up, and it's causing some issues in that they cannot guarantee him what he wants, which is championships. He wants to go back into the main event scene, and with the drafting coming, he wants to go to a side in which he'll be able to do so. That is not something that the WWE are currently able to promise him, and is causing some issues with his booking. Also, some issues with Ronda Rousey at the moment. There is a belief backstage that she's largely losing interest in wrestling again. There is also, and I've heard this one from about 3 different sources so far, she prefers to be booked under Triple H or by herself at the moment to Vince McMahon. I reported a while ago there have been some clashes between Ronda Rousey, who has many things baked into her contract and an element of creative control, between her and Triple H, which is limiting ultimately what Triple H can book her to do. There are reports out that Lita is done with the WWE. Her name is not listed for the draft. Trish Stratus' name, however, is listed, though she is going to be part-time at best. Part-time at best. Future is still in limbo for Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. There was no end game planned together after they won the championships at WrestleMania. Back in September, I reported they would be competing for and winning the tag team championships at WrestleMania. They did that. However, there was no real creative plan for them immediately after, which is why they are now still working with the Usos while they wait for a creative plan to be put together. However, what I have heard is that they will be moved away from the bloodline in the draft. My suspicion is that Sami Zayn will go to Raw, Kevin Owens will stay on Raw, and they'll be separated from the Usos at the very least in that design. At the moment, Liv Morgan is one of the names planned for both Raw and SmackDown, as is her partner, Raquel Rodriguez, and her planned opponents, Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler. The women's tag division will still be multi-brand, and you will still see both of the women's tag team champions appearing on both shows. That at least is the plan, and Liv Morgan, as I've reported previously, does have a push in play incoming. There is also another break coming for Brock Lesnar. After the match finishes against Cody Rhodes, it is believed that Brock will return to taking time off, having a break, and will return around Saudi and SummerSlam time. Pardon me. The final piece of news for me, or from me as regards the draft, is that the draft results have already been shared and approved by USA and Fox. Fox Network made one demand again: Charlotte Flair. They've made that request before. They made it very clear this time around they wanted Charlotte Flair once more. The belief is that their audience are already familiar with the name Ric Flair, and thus she is someone who has crossover potential for their show. There is a number of people who Fox and or USA have requested. Ronda Rousey's name has bounced around. I've mentioned Roman Reigns. At the moment, the plans have been put forward to them. Both sides are believed to be happy with the deal on offer, and both sides are now turning their attention to the contract renewal for TV rights. That will be something that Vince McMahon himself is working on. RF says, I saw a post on Twitter saying Triple H is going to be on Raw tonight. Do you know if that is true? Yes, it is indeed true. Wiggly says, Edge to AEW, how genuine are those rumours? They are not. Spider-Boss says somehow Bayley looks more a star in SmackDown. Bayley on Raw hasn't worked well. That's true of a few people. AJ Styles, for example. Rosal says Roxanne has a lot of potential on the main roster. She can connect really well with the kids, I think. And anytime someone can get the kids on their side, they will be really successful. That is true in NXT. Eric says, do you think Randy or Cena will win the title one more time to break the record? Randy, yes, though he will not be breaking the record. Cena, no, he doesn't want to do that. Number of the Devil says, Bray's really out for creative problems. I gave you a full list there, mate. Quite a few different issues. Fitness concerns, storyline has been reset because of the change in planned match for WrestleMania, a foot injury, and yes, some creative issues. It's not just creative issues, there are a number of different things that are currently causing limits. He's had to rewrite his planned storyline, and a large part of this comes down to the fact that he has an element of creative control. Hogan says, I've only seen the 22 bet odds, but the current favourite there to win Money in the Bank is LA Knight, followed by Ford, Lashley, Cody, Drew and Rollins. Thank you, Hogan. I appreciate you bringing that in. That's quite useful information and tells you that anyone reporting that Omos is the favourite clearly is not paying attention. Vegeta says, Rick said before he wouldn't mind Randy breaking it. And I don't believe Randy would mind breaking it, but I do think Charlotte will be the one to break it. Randy Orton at the moment isn't really that interested in being in the main event. Wiggly says, where do you see Mercedes money landing, WWE or AEW? Spider-Boss, have you checked out my video in which I make it very clear the answer to that question? If not, pop over to YouTube because you may enjoy it. Wiggly says, if Drew did leave for AEW, it would be so sad that Drew never got to win the title in front of a crowd, and the first British WWE champion at men's never got his moment. Razar says, I'm guessing Triple H is going to announce a world title for Raw, quite possibly. Wiggly is saying that we are having lag, at least on the Twitch side. Is anyone else experiencing lag? Can you let me know? Alex Perez says, do you think William Regal will be the GM of Raw or SmackDown? No. Sean says, I see Kyrie won the Artist of Stardom Championship. Guessing she is staying in Stardom, isn't she? As I say, there is a conversation ongoing, and there are people very interested in bringing her back to the WWE. Someone has been given that task. I cannot repeat myself many more times. Alex says, Ilya Dragunov going to SmackDown to face Gunter? Maybe, maybe not. Everything is on the table. Vane says, I don't see why Roxanne Perez is being pushed. I'd rather see Indy Hartwell pushed. Roxanne Perez is simply the one that the WWE have higher expectations of and believe have the highest ceiling. Venom says, do you think KO and Samuel will drop the titles back to the Usos? Maybe, maybe not. Who's to say? Joey says, what's this new title going to be? I have not heard any report of a new title, but I don't know everything, let's be clear. Wiggly is asking, will the belts be split? I've reported previously, there's been lots of conversation about it, but I cannot guarantee. Hogan says, I feel like WWE are not getting FTR hurt. Right now your top heel teams are Judgment Day, Usos and the Viking Raiders. Another reason why splitting the tag belts are a bad idea in my opinion. That is not an unfair comment. I do think they were confident that they were getting them. John says, the CEO of NBC Universal was ousted. This could have an impact on TV negotiations. It could. It very much could. Trekkipedia says, what's up, Tom and everyone? Welcome, Trekkipedia. How you doing? Mark starts off by saying, according... Oh, you've already got something. Okay, I'll read that later on then. Razar says, Fox requesting Charlotte. Wow, I really thought she'd go to Raw and feud with Bianca. I guess Bianca can always go to SmackDown, but her and Rhea are both champions now. It's very possible that they don't get Charlotte, but they have requested her again. Angel Lucia says, does Randy get drafted? Randy Orton is eligible to be drafted. If you want further information, by all means, check out my video from early February detailing this. Sean says, I also think Rick said he'd be fine with John Cena breaking his record. That's true. John Cena does not want to break his record. Thank you, Michael. Spider-Boss says, I watched your TikTok video about Mercedes on Sunday. I like it. Thank you very much, mate. I appreciate that. What I will say, the full video is on YouTube. The videos on TikTok are clips. Spider-Boss says, any interest from WWE to bring back the Iconics? Yes, quite a bit, in fact. To be clear, Sean, I don't think anyone said Indy's not being pushed. Mark says, according to WrestleWorld on Triple H, it's not 100% known exactly what this announcement is, but there is some chatter it could be concerning the plans for the WWE Championship moving forward. So basically what they're saying is, we don't know, but maybe it's this. Thank you, Zane. Thank you, Venom, for the confirmation there. We're not getting any lag here. RS says, I've seen some posts showing some interest in Logan Paul winning Money in the Bank. Would that make any sense for WWE's sake? Yeah. Logan Paul would then essentially have the briefcase everywhere he goes, and it would just draw a lot of mainstream attention, so it make a lot of sense for the WWE. We have 100 viewers right now and only the 55 likes. If you're able to, please give us a thumbs up. I'd very much appreciate it. John, I did discuss what you said about the CEO of NBC Universal. Yes, it could make an impact, but I don't think it'll make a big impact because ultimately it's not made by them. They don't make the decision. Adam says, I did ask you if Bray Wyatt was going to be released, and you said if he doesn't ask his release, then no, which is true. You ask this question in every single stream, mate. You ask this question in every single stream. If WWE want to release him, he'll be released. If he wants to be released, and the WWE want to release him, he'll be released. If they don't want to release him, he won't be released. It's that simple. That's it. That's the situation. That's the entire situation. You can ask this exact same question 100, 200 times. You're always going to get the same answer. If the WWE decide to release Bray Wyatt will be released. If they don't, he won't. That's the news. That's everything. That's all anyone can give you. Venom says, surely USA is getting pissed they don't have the WWE title on Raw. I'm surprised they aren't demanding Roman drops the WWE title. Maybe they are. Trekkipedia says, shouldn't Chavo be mad at Sasha and everyone else who says how they do Eddie's moves and wear similar gear as a tribute? I don't think he got mad. I think he shared his opinion, but I don't think he got mad. Spider-Boss says, I'd love to see Becky and Seth on SmackDown. Becky would be in line for Rhea and Seth as a perfect rival for Roman. Counterfeit says, I think Becky, Asuka, Charlotte, Alexa, Mandy, Zoe, Roxanne, Bianca after SummerSlam, Rhea and Judgment Day should get drafted to SmackDown. Thank you, Daz, for confirming as well. Spider-Boss says, pretty deadly on the main roster would be cool. And Sean says, I know what Triple H's announcement is, that Tom Colohue has been signed by WWE. Shh, spoilers. Spoilers. Bruce, welcome, mate. No need to be sorry. Welcome to the show. Always good to have you. Thank you, Trekkipedia. Thomas says, hi, Tom. Sorry I haven't been here for a while. It's all right, mate. Don't worry. Haven't been feeling great since my operation. Hopefully I'm back to being here for every live stream. I appreciate the fact that you're here, mate. I'm not particularly worried about anyone being here for every single show. Hopefully you're feeling good, mate. That's the key thing. That's what I'm most concerned about. Ross says, Pat McAfee versus Logan Paul will be an interesting mainstream match. No ring general. Not going to happen. 23 Fresh says, where do you see Goldberg next? Not wrestling. John recommends a Mario Brothers movie. Eric says, two-part question. One, how many more does Randy need to break the record? I believe it's 3. And 2, will Liv and Raquel be on Raw tonight? I believe so, yes. Counterfeit says, do you think Io could win the title from Bianca? Could. Probably won't. Ghost, welcome. Says, hello, Tom and chat. Hope everyone is doing well. Doing very well, thank you, Ghost. Welcome. Venom wants Bobby to go to SmackDown as well. Lucha Libre memes, welcome back, says Tom. Hope you're doing well. Doing very well, thank you, and thank you for dropping in once again. We are 45 minutes in, and I've shared every bit of news that I have about the upcoming draft. We've gained quite a few subscribers. I just want to say a massive thank you to all of you. Venom says, do you think Theory will lose the US title in the triple threat match? Not personally, no, but given the fact that he's the outsider here, that's sort of out of nowhere, it does feel a little bit like when Carmelo was a champion facing Becky and Charlotte, and it was not about Carmelo at all. I'm going to wrap it up there. For those who aren't already aware, I will be live on our local establishment for a mock draft with our friends Perish and, of course, this channel's very own Ed Fries. So please check that out as well. Rizal says, reckless speculation. Maybe the reason King of the Ring was changed to Night of Champions is because there'll be a new title announced and be crowned at that show. That could be cool. That would work. That'd be great. So hopefully I'll see as many of you as possible at our local establishment show. If you want direct reminders of when it goes live, it'll be going live in just over an hour. By all means, drop into the Discord and we'll be sure to let you know. But in the meantime, next time you see me, for example, if you're not watching shorts, thank you, Ed, for dropping the link. If you're not watching the shorts, for example, the next time you see me will likely be Fridays. Spoiler warning, as you can see from the schedule there. Spoiler warning is every Monday and every Friday, and we also do our regular SmackDown watch parties. I implore you all to check them out. Be sure to subscribe if you enjoyed this show and enjoyed this news, and be sure to hit like regardless anytime you are watching this video. In the meantime, huge thanks to all of you for your time. I've been Tom Colohue, you have been fantastic, and I'll see you all very soon.